CMPRadio.net. It's the station.
CMPRadio.net, man. You already know it's the station, and we're live from the Cultivating Mature Positivity Studios here in beautiful Chester, Pennsylvania. Like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, come on, let's go. If you're watching via Facebook, comment, right? How you're making it through, why you're making it through. Because today
we talking about what's your why. Why do you do what you do every single day? How do you get out of bed when your body is hurting, when your mind is telling you to quit? What's your why?
What's your why?
What's the reasoning for you doing it?
Come on.
The backdrop
Come on.
of today's episode. So about 14 years ago at this point, I was working at Court Diner and Media, and a lawyer came in, and he's reading a book, and I'm an avid reader. And at the time, I was busting the tables over at Court Diner, and I asked the lawyer the name of the book he was reading and where I could get it from. The book was called Start With Your Why by Simon Sinek. I typically read it once a year. Haven't read it this year at all. And I got to a plateau with my health journey where I've lost 30 pounds, and now it's just like, it's whatever. But I still have a goal to lose 30 more pounds. And in order to do that, I got to get back to what I was doing before, which was exercising, eating right, doing what it is that was necessary. And I thought about it in the car the other day. I said, what was your why for starting the exercising, like to starting the working out and all those kind of things? And we got to get back to that. That was me talking to myself. I was the only one in the car. And myself said, all right, let's do it. So that's the reason for this episode today. Right. You know what I'm saying? What's your why? But anyway, how was your week this week?
Man, my week was okay. Yeah, my week was good. My week is usually good after the week after, right after Fusion Friday, because I get to heal. Right, back hurting, everything's tight. Moving everything. I think I'm too old to do any of that moving stuff. I got to get a team of people to come in, and I'll supervise, or whoever can supervise. But the moving team, I've come to I can't possibly be a radio personality doing everything that I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, you think about it, when you go to a Fusion Friday, everything's moving, everything, right? So to set all of that up, and then for me to sit down and actually want to talk about something, right? It's just too much, right? And so, trying to figure out ways to get that done without me having to do so much. Because next year, we've already got phone calls, and people have reached out to come to their space and do it there. Right. So, trying to figure out everything, and then to take that one step outside of Chester, You know what I mean? That one place outside of Chester where we can also take resources and things like that. So, that's our next step. You know what I mean? Is to be able to move outside of Chester because we're a radio station. So, we're not trying to, I love Chester so much. I love my community so much. But I want other people to love their community the same way. You know what I mean? So yeah. We gotta begin to move and cultivate outside of our area. Right. So my week was great. Meetings, talking to different people, and understanding that, we need us.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I was thinking about a statement that you made last Thursday after we got off, and I really began to ponder like what that looks like, and if I'm capable, right? And I was talking with my wife, and she was like, "I think that you're capable, but do you have too much on your plate right now?" And I'm like, I don't know. So we haven't had the conversation, you and I, because I'm still navigating because I don't want to commit until I know for a fact that I can carry it out. You know what I'm saying? But that has been on my mind all week. And I think really that's another reason why the why is important. You know what I'm saying? Like making sure why we do what we do and take on what we take on, aligns to our purpose, but also aligns to where our life is currently in this season, because if we take on too much, then we wear not only ourselves but we can't give those spaces and those opportunities our 100%. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that every space that we operate, we ought to give it at least 100%, if not more. And if you're doing too many things at one time, at least for speaking for myself, I find myself giving, this 25%, that 50%, maybe 75 over here. And then my wife get the short end of the stick at the end of the day. And my marriage is my first ministry. So there's no possible way that I could take on a bunch of things and think that I'm going to be able to, do what's necessary the right way and do it in excellence. So
you can.
You know what I
mean? In everything requires a sacrifice, right? The one person that you shouldn't sacrifice for, you shouldn't put that is your marriage, right? But your wife knows you. She knows the man that you are. She knows the servant leader that you are. If you put yourself into another situation, right? Because I'm not asking for no one to come in here and give me 50 hours a week.
Right.
I'm asking for us to sit down and really hone out what we're doing moving forward, right? What the radio station has to offer and just do that. Fusion Friday is the most community stuff that I do, and that's during the summertime, and I do it during the summertime because it's free. The children are free. The children can help, right? So it's not really hard. Meetings throughout the week, right? We put one day towards meeting. We only take meetings on Thursday. You know what I mean? Like if that's the day you say you have, that's the only day I want. I don't want your Wednesday or your Tuesday. We can talk throughout the day, but you got other things to do. This is what I know because I'm involved with the radio station. So I don't want everybody's time. You feel me? I want people that can sit here and say, this is your plan. This is what you need. This is what you need me to do. I'm going to go do that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, because that's what I need, right? And then once that comes into me, then I can give out, right? But right now, I can't give anything because I don't know. I know what I want, but it's hard for me to also do everything and be that person. So I understand what you mean 100%. I feel like I sacrificed my relationship for the radio station. You know what I mean? I put the radio station above everything. And I see now how that has benefited me, but I see now how I have lost as well. You know what I mean? So I don't want a relationship right now. I want the radio station to be self-sufficient. I want the radio station to be here because I don't know when I'm going to have to help a kid. I don't know when I'm going to have to be here to talk to a child. So I need to be here in this space, right? That's when you come here, what's one thing you know about that front door when you come here?
It's unlocked.
It's unlocked.
It's open.
It's open.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and people come and they like, yo, man, your door was open. Okay. Where was you at? Upstairs. You came into the station. Did you sit down? Did you call me? Nah, I ain't think. You got to call me. I thought you. I do see, but you still got to call me.
Right.
Because I don't know what you're coming here for. If you're not going to call somebody, what are you coming to their house for?
Facts.
You know what I mean?
No, that's a fact.
So yes, the door is open. I want to help everybody, and when we talk about our why, that's my why, right? I want to be able to be in a position to help people get to the next level. I want to be able to tell you what it's going to take, what you got to give up, what you got to pick up too, because it's not just about putting things down. You got to pick up some things too. You feel me? But that's my why, man. Right? I do what I do because I needed help, and I know that other people need help. So giving people what I know they need when they're trying to find their way, that's my why.
So with that, so let me ask a question. So who puts back in what you pour out?
And that's why, and that's I was supposed to have a partner. I was supposed to have someone in that space. You know what I mean? And I think I put other people in that space. I gave people that didn't really deserve that space. You know what I mean? So losing my mom made me realize all that, right? Because my mother was that person. You feel me? Like she poured back into me. She told me how great I was. She told me how amazing I was. She told me to keep going. She told me don't give up, right? Losing her made me realize that most of the people that were around me, though they liked me, though they saw me as, you know, a brother, family, they weren't really for me because they weren't willing to hold me accountable, or their accountability, I didn't see it. You know what I mean? Because it was given off in a different. I didn't hear it. I didn't understand it. It's like speaking alien. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Like, because I don't see that in you. You know what I mean? So I want people to be able to see in me what I'm saying. If I'm telling you, man, listen, don't do that, because I know for a fact, I can say that. I know this for a fact, that if you do this, you're going to end up like this. That's the only way you can end up. There aren't no successful people in this joint. You feel me? Like, there are no successful cheaters. There are no successful liars. You just keep on lying. And then you get to a point where you're telling the biggest lie of them all, and you don't even know who you are. So you begin to lie to yourself. So, I think my community is that one person that I need, right? Because there's so many people, right, that call me on a daily basis and say, yo, bro, I appreciate you. I want to talk to you. You feel me? And you bring me your idea, and I sit there and we chop it up, and all right, what you want to do? You got to understand how it's going to work, right? I know that because of what I'm doing with the radio station every day, like trying to understand new things about the radio station, trying to find new ways to get this mission done. So,
right, but who's going to pour back into you once you pour out?
Hey man, I guess my children pour back into me. My daughters pour back into me. I'm not, and my community pours back into me. Trust me when I say it, they do. You feel me? I don't necessarily need that one person, you know, yet, right now, right? And when I meet her, you feel me? I will know, and I'll make sure I call you.
No, don't call me.
You feel me? Like when I meet her and I feel like it's there, that's cool. But right now, I'm not really looking for her.
No, it don't have to be one person. So
Right.
I worded it, but
Yeah.
what's that something that pours back into you is what I'm saying. But you answered the
The
question.
radio station, it gives me life. It gives me energy. It gives me love. It gives me the feeling of community, right? There's nothing that I ever wanted more than to have this radio station, than to be a part of this radio station. So, yeah.
Okay, I like it. So my why right now, and it's changed over the years. It changed from the first time I read the book. I read that book cover to cover, and I think it was like 5 hours. I sat down at work on break. I read it, and then I put it down because I had to finish my shift. I finished my shift, got on public transportation, finished the book. So my why back then was something that was internal. But what I realized is that I would quit on myself and that was a flaw and something that I struggled with. So then I changed it. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna make my why, this girl. And this is before I was married. I made it a girl. Me and the girl broke up, and suddenly my why shifted again because I put it on to a temporal external being. And it wasn't until I was able to look in the mirror and hold myself accountable where I wasn't able to quit on myself and give up on myself, where I was able to really have a strong enough why to continue to move how I move. And literally my why is being able, and we talked about it last week, but being able to leave a legacy behind for my unborn children's children. And that's what's driving me to continue to move and to continue to flow. But we definitely have different whys for different parts of our life. Mm-hmm. So, what drives me is the legacy. But when it comes to health, what drives me is the fact that I want to be around for my children's children. So like for my great grandkids, and be in great health, and being able to throw the football or shoot the basketball, in my 60s and my 70s or whatever it looks like. That's my why for, fitness. My why for my finances is to be able to leave, the generations that's coming behind me, wealth. I don't want them to have to start at my ceiling, which isn't right now, currently isn't the greatest ceiling to start at. I want them to be able to say, yo, great-great-grandfather Ray, he went out and he did it. And he was able to leave the legacy so that we don't have to struggle through life. We don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. Or somebody said to me, oh, I live penny to penny. I said, what the heck does that mean? They said, well, when I get my paycheck, I get down, I have pennies left. And then I have to go into the next paycheck, pay all my bills, and then I got pennies left. And I said, wow, that's interesting. But we have to change our mindset in order to truly dive into the clarity of the why. I was speaking to my goddaughter who just graduated college in May. And in January we were talking and she's like, Uncle Ray, how do I get to my why? How do I get to the reason why I do things? I said, well, the first thing you need to do is you need to write it out, right? Write out what your why is. And once you write it out, ask yourself again, why? And then write it out again, right? Because you're going to come up with a different answer from what it originally was. And once you pull that answer out, guess what? Ask yourself why again. Until you get to the bottom, minute, fine piece of it where you can say, okay, this makes sense and this is my why. And then you'll realize once you start operating in that space of your why, you'll begin to see your life differently because now your lens has shifted from, okay, I have to survive in this space. But when you know your why, you're thriving in any of the spaces, whether it's chaos is ensuing in your life, whether you feel like the walls are crumbling down, whether you feel like nothing is going right, whether you feel like every morning you wake up and your body hurts and you got mental attacks happening. When you know your why, you move different. When you know your why, you walk different. When you know your why, you stand different. And when you know your why, you talk different. And I think that is very, very important for people to know, like, how do I really define the reason why I do what I do every day? Some people are in autopilot. If we think about life, and I'm one of those people who used to be in autopilot, bro, I would literally just wake up every morning and do the same exact thing because that's what I was doing, not really understanding that I wasn't even putting in
no real work.
No real work, right. I was busy with no progress.
And people are comfortable with that. As long as they got a paycheck, as long as they can go buy a bottle of liquor, as long as they can get drunk, as long as they can pacify themselves, they're okay with what they earn. Like, I was never that person. My why used to be money, right? Everything I did had to make a profit. You feel me? And I was good at that. You know what I mean? And like before my mom died, she said, I didn't think you would last too long at the radio station because I didn't see you making any money doing it. What I did see was my son. I hadn't seen him in a long time, right? The love that you have for the people that came through the radio station, the help that I offered to everybody. I helped everybody. I didn't take anything off the table. Like, if you want to be successful at podcasting, you have to learn, you have to be consistent. You have to show up on time. After your podcast is done, you got to make sure your show gets to the places it's supposed to get to. You can't put that on someone else? And if you do put that on someone else, are you paying them? And if you're not paying them, then your podcast now belongs to them. Because that's just how things work when you record things, right? So, no, do I want to take your stuff? No, I don't want to take your stuff, but I do need you to work. I do want you to work, right? And I think a lot of people feel like OP just he's rude, he's mean, he's ignorant. And it's like, no, bro, like I need you to work. What are you doing? Are you just showing up here just because you could get 100,000 people to watch you and laugh at you and joke, or are you trying to make money off of this? Because right now, the live stream situation, that's where the money is.
No, that's a fact.
And you see people are live streaming their regular lives. You got Adrian Broner and Dean that locked themselves in the gym and got to losing weight, but they was already doing that. They were already athletes, so it's not hard for them to go back to doing that. You're talking about AB going back to doing something that he was doing for 10 to 20 years before. It's nothing to him going into the gym, right? So let's put some cameras in there. Let's watch it. Let's do some crazy things. And let's make $1 million for doing it 30 days straight. What?
Easy money. Easy money.
So at the end of the day, like when you see that, like, okay, what are we going to do? Are you just going to come in here and do a podcast and then leave and not worry about it? How is that possible?
Right.
So I had a conversation with a couple people the other day, and if we're going to get serious, this is the year to do it. This is year 9. Year 9 is a complete number. You know what I mean? Like just like 7, right? They say every 7 years you evolve, right? So we're going to do year 9. In this year 9, we're looking to major in communications, right? Major in consistency. If this is your why. If it's not your why, you're just doing it part-time, let me know. Because I only want people that want to do this full-time. Full-time takes 40 hours a week.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So what are we doing for 40 hours a week that you know that you're putting that time into your podcast? Are you really doing it or are you faking it? Right? And it's not hard. It's really not.
Right.
You feel me? Because it's 7 days a week. So I'm not asking for 10 hours a day. I'm just asking for you to show up and do it and really want to do it. Monday you work on this for 3 hours. Tuesday you work on this for 3 hours. So forth and so on. You don't have to get a full 40, but you have to put some energy into it. Then when you do your podcast, how long are you staying? How long is your podcast going for? So all of these things need to come up in year 9, and they will. And I've been kind of preaching this from the beginning. Consistency. Communication, right? Talk. Let's go. Let's get it done. So, my why. I'm just excited to even be still standing after 9 years. You feel me? To even be in consideration or not in consideration, and people still talking, right? So, I'm good.
No, that's lit. Yeah, consistency is is one of the reasons why I had to get back to my wife. Working out, being inconsistent, man. You know, and I'm just going to use the gym as an analogy, but you know when you go into the gym and you first start working out, you be lifting, and then progressively you are able to lift heavier weights. Then you're able to do heavier weights consistently. But if you take time off and you don't go to the gym, you don't take walks, you don't run, you don't eat right, and you go back in the gym, do you know that you got to start back over?
At what?
Ground zero.
Yeah.
At ground zero. Yeah. So consistency is key in every regard.
Doing a podcast, life. You got to do the same thing.
No,
the audience got to be the same. When you stop doing your podcast, and I'll be telling people, when you stop, what happens? You're not doing it. Well, if you're not putting out content every day on your page, if you're not putting out the content is able to masquerade like you're still doing your podcast. You know what I mean? Like, but if you ain't putting out nothing and you take a break, your audience goes away.
No, that's a fact.
And then when your audience goes away, you know how hard it is to get them to come back.
No, that's a fact. That's why I was doing. So I had to sit down with Ray Phillips Jr. and I was doing it on my phone. So it was an app called what the heck is that app? Anchor. I think it is, or Spotify for podcasters or whatever.
Anchor.
And I would do it, and I would send like little voice record. I would be going to work. I'm like, yo, I can't lose the traction that I got. I gotta keep recording. So So I would do little podcasts on the way to work, and I would do like rants and just have conversation. And then I seen the followers picking up, and then I stopped because, again, the consistency piece for me was, if I could keep doing it, I would, but because life was happening, I didn't, because my why wasn't strong enough to continue to move in that space, even though I know that I'm pretty good at podcasting because I like talking.
Yes.
And I like interviewing. I can have conversations, like real conversations with people. So for me, it was, what does that look like? And then I realized, I'm like, yo, they just signed $100 million contract doing something I was doing 5 years before they even popped up on the scene. But because I wasn't consistent, I didn't sign that $100 million contract. And here we are. So, yeah. So, I mean, the biggest thing is consistency. Ray, P, how do you stay consistent, man? You just put one foot in front of the other and you don't stop. Even if you got to do one push-up a day, that's consistency. You know what I'm saying? Like if you used to doing 100 and you can't get 100 done because you got a lot going on, but if you do one, you're still staying consistent in the thing that you was doing. I definitely think this is going to be, like a great space. We might even be able to do a part 2 of What's Your Why, and maybe bring somebody in and ask them kind of what that looks like.
I think that's that's making it through, right? What's your why? That's a daily conversation with anybody. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because there are over billions of people on the planet. Everybody has a different why. But some people have never taken the steps that you took to find your why. They haven't taken the steps that I took to find my why. Right? I've always, since a kid, been a giver. Right? My mom she thought I was going to be a minister at a church. Right? She just knew that was going to happen. My dad too. Right? No, he's going to be a doctor. Right? Okay, cool. That didn't happen. Right? But I still find myself being those things in my community. A healer, being able to help people when they feel as though they're going through something. You feel me? Being able to sit and pray with people. Right? Like, even though we're not of the same faith, right? We still believe in one creator. You feel me? And you're still human. So if I follow anybody that I'm following had to be human as well. Right? Had to have humility and understand, like, listen, you might not pray to the same person, but you need to pray right now. Right? Like, so wherever you find your faith, wherever you find your space to believe in the unseen, because that's what life is about. The unseen, right? I can have a vision for this building, for this radio station, but it's unseen to anyone else. Mm-hmm. If they don't believe in it, it don't happen. If I don't believe in it, it don't happen. So it's like, if you don't believe in the unseen and you don't have faith behind works and you don't understand that you have to continue to work, even if you have faith, even if you pray every day, you got to continue to work, then you don't believe in anything. So, no, I'm not a doctor. No, I'm not a minister, but I am. And I put this up the other day just talking about, because I was talking to my friend and he asked me, he's like, you always put this post up. You always put this thing up by your name when you're doing a live, a community optimist. What is a community optimist? I said, a community optimist is a person that can see an abandoned building and see life inside of it. I used to pull up at Pulaski before Pulaski got torn down, bro. And I swear I could see the kids running in and out of the joint. You feel me? Like, I could smell the chlorine, bro. You understand what I'm saying? Now, at the time when I was doing it, I was getting high. So and I explained that to him as well. And he was like, well, that's kind of the gateway between, you feel me? He said that. And he talked about it yesterday, right? I interviewed him yesterday, but he was like, that's kind of the gateway in life, right? When you get high, when you get you're trying to transcend, you're trying to move, mm-hmm. right? But if you're not doing it with a group of people that understand what they're doing and protecting, then it goes left. That's where mushrooms came from. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to get to a point to talk, to hear that music that's being played, right? But he's like, you're a visionary. You see things, right? I could probably take you somewhere and say, what do you see? And you was like, nah, this is great. I see this, I see that, I see. And if you can see it, then you can be it, right? So for me, that's what it's all about, right? So I know for a fact that anybody's why is related to making it through, because you're not going to make it through anything if you don't know why.
That's a fact. That's a fact. All right, let me ask you a question then.
Go ahead.
So I've been on this on this kick that motivation isn't real. And you asked me the question. Nobody asked me the question, but again, so I spend a lot of time on myself. Let me first say that. So I'm driving. I do landscaping. I'm spending a lot of time in the car. I'm spending a lot of time on people's properties. And my thoughts are always going, and yes, I do answer myself. No, I'm not crazy, but that's just how I operate, right? And it gets so bad that sometimes I'm driving in the car with my wife, and I have a thought, and then I'll answer it out loud, and she's like, "What you say?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Not understanding that I said it out loud, like answering the questions to my thought. But I believe that motivation isn't real. Yes, there's motivational speakers. Yes, there's people who make a lot of money, motivating people. But motivation to me is short term. So I could be motivated to do it in that minute, that hour, that month, that year, those couple years. But the minute what motivated me to do it wears off, like the excitement, the joy that I got from doing it, I'm not doing it no more. But when you have a strong enough why, the reason why you do it, the reason why and I keep using why, but the reason you keep going, it's no longer motivation. And that's why I say motivation is dead, but people get paid millions of dollars to be motivational speakers and all those things, and I'm not hating on them because I used to want to be a motivational speaker, but here we are.
You are a motivational speaker. You're just not getting paid millions of dollars to do it.
Well, you know how life goes, but I'm going to be there one day.
When
sure.
When motivation leaves, the only thing that's left is discipline. Like, you're motivated for different reasons. Right? You can be motivated for money. You can be motivated to change your body. You can be motivated to be a better father, right? But when motivation leaves, because it frequently does, you feel me? The only thing left is discipline. So you have to hold yourself to a certain standard, right? I can't go under this. And if you do go under this, right, what's under discipline, right? That's when motivation comes back. You feel me?
That's
true. So.
But would it be once underlining of discipline? It would have to be accountability, because now you got to be able to hold yourself accountable in those disciplines.
Consistency, motivation, discipline, consistency. Consistency gets you disciplined. Discipline gets you motivated.
But to hold all three, you got to be accountable. You have to be.
I mean, you can't have anything without accountability,
right.
First and foremost. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't realize this. So coming from the street and understanding that people are different. Coming from the street, I realized very young that people are going to lie. You feel me? So I just told people, listen, how you lie to me is how I lie to you. So take what you say to me seriously. You feel me? Because if you don't lie to me, I won't lie to you. Right? If you can trust me, I need you to be able to trust. I need to be able to trust you.
Right.
I ran with some people that were not trustworthy, which made me not be trustworthy. I come into this stage, change my life, go to therapy, don't want to sell drugs anymore, don't want to play in the street anymore, want to be I want to see, and I want people to realize what Chester has to offer outside of just drugs, outside
right.
of murder and different things like that. So I start the radio station. I could have named it anything, but I knew what I needed, and I needed to cultivate mature positivity. So I said, if I need this, how many other people need it? Literally, that's what I said. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I need this, if I need to cultivate mature positivity, if I need to constantly make progress, if I need to understand that I need to change media's perspective, if I need this, everybody needs this. So we're going to start the radio station. Bang, we're going to start the radio station. Cultivate mature positivity. September 2nd, 2017. I was a year removed from getting a divorce. A year removed from removing myself from my children's life. You understand what I'm saying? Like, in hopes to be able to find me while I'm in therapy, crying in therapy, talking in therapy, understanding in therapy, still starting a radio station. And when we started the radio station, I want to say within 3 weeks, we had a bunch of shows. So now I have to be responsible enough to keep these shows here, talking to these shows, communicating with everybody that's believing what I'm doing, and I don't even know what I'm doing. I didn't have any experience. I didn't go to school. I didn't know what the hell was going on. It was like, oh shit, dumb luck, maybe. But in all of that, I was learning, right? I was learning what happens when people hear something and take it somewhere else and tell somebody else something and it wasn't true.
Right.
Come back and talk to me. Let's have this conversation. No, you don't want. All right, now I'm understanding that. I'm understanding what happens when me, my dumb self, continues to play with something that I shouldn't be playing with. I knew better, but I chose to do it anyway because it was helping me. You know what I'm saying? I chose to do it anyway because it was behind this door. Now I understand every door opens at some point. Right? You can be riding down the road and the door just pops open. Your shit falls out. When your shit falls out, how you feel about it? You mad? You upset? I didn't lock the door. I didn't secure the door. Or I didn't walk away from the door. So it's my fault. So again, I put myself in every situation. When I got jumped at the RS Club, I asked myself, what was I doing there? So I can hold myself accountable. That's not a problem. After I can hold myself accountable. During, I can't. You know what I mean? Because I shouldn't have been there. But I went anyway. And I shouldn't have done a lot of things, but I did it anyway. So it's like after, it's like, oh yeah, my fault. I did it. You feel me? And I take my whatever I get and I walk away. But understanding that now, I can't do that way. I'm not 36 anymore. I'm 46. I got years on me. I'm heavy. You feel me? Like when I walk, I was like, damn, why you walk? Like, I'm tired. You feel me? Like the pain, the pressure, the upset nights, the nights, the lonely nights crying and trying to figure out why. You feel me? Like, why did I do this? Why am I doing this? Why do I care? That weighs a lot on a person. Right? So making it through, I will constantly do that. I will constantly motivate others to do the same. But I tell you, just hold yourself accountable. Right? If you feel like you shouldn't be there, leave. I was never comfortable with leaving because I knew people were going to talk about me. When I leave a room, people talk about me, right? Whether it's good or bad, I'd rather stick around. So I stay in the room too long. So I tell my son now, if you feel uncomfortable in a room, you leave. You don't stay. You walk out. Keep it moving.
No, that's a fact. That's good. That's real good. A girl posted that I went to school with, or a woman, because we old now, but a woman posted, and she said, what were some spaces that you stayed in too long and why? And I put business relationships that I knew I was supposed to separate myself with, but because I was loyal to people, I stayed. And because I was loyal to people, my loyalty actually got me in more trouble. I mean, really, it's not really trouble, but more trouble than I would like to have been going through, or more fire than I would like to have seen. And even in like speaking right now, there's spaces where I know for a fact it's time to go, and move on, and not allow my presence to be felt in those spaces. And if I did my job correctly, my presence will always be felt in those spaces because I did my job correctly. So that's definitely key, very, very key. Has your why ever required you to make a decision that other people didn't understand?
Every day. Every day. Right. Every day. And sometimes it's not my why. It's just it assists my why. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily my why, but it assists my why. So people feel some type way, right? And it's my decision. Like, and I don't charge anybody for my decisions. If I make a decision, this is my radio station. Not saying that I can't take advice from other people, but I'm not going to allow anyone to come into the radio station and change what it does. If I feel like it's beneficial for the company, yes, we will change. We will do some things differently. But if you're just coming in to change just because, you feel me? Like that doesn't make sense to me. Tell me why that works, right? So yeah, I've had several people feel some type way about my decision making and why I'm doing what I'm doing, but I just continue to do it. Then they see the blessings that come from it, and they go, "Oh, I ain't think about." Hey, bro, you think about it the way you thought about it, and that's okay, right? I'm always thinking about the radio station.
No, that's good. That's real good.
How about you?
So for me, I would say, yeah, it was one time where, and mine is different because I should have listened when they said, I don't think it's a great idea. But it was when we gathered our things. So our lease was almost up at one of our apartments we were living in 2022. And we was like, what we going to do from here? We had just had a conversation, and this shiny thing came and popped up, and it was requiring me to move. I would have to leave, where I'm from, where I was comfortable in. Life was beginning here to kind of like restore a little bit. We were gaining traction, my wife and I, and I was like, yo, we gonna leave. My wife's like, all right, let's do it. And we went and we talked to our pastors at our church, and he was like, I don't think that this is wise. Like, I just don't think it's wise. And we were like, well, we're gonna go anyway. We can do it anyway. So we left. And the decision, I believe, was of why I was doing it was directly correlated to my wife, because again, I give back to people. I like being in leadership roles. I like building new things and seeing them through. And what God taught me in that moment was that, one, I should have listened to wise counsel. If I'm coming to, my pastors, the ones that's praying for me and seeking God on my behalf, I should have enough trust, like you were talking about earlier, to believe that they have the right intentions for us. And God showed me, like, down there, he was like, before I left, he was like, you got to do it, and you got to do it to completion, and it's got to be in excellence. And I was like, all right, that's easy. And I was thinking about it because of the money. So I was supposed to make $16K in 3 months. I was like, all right, that's bet. That's easy money. I ain't never made 16,000 in 3 months. Like, let's do it. Let's do it. And chasing the money. And the money was my why at the time, because life wasn't going as well as I thought it should be going. So I get down there, and life isn't life as how I thought it would be. We're in this amazing house, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, crazy backyard, basketball court in ground. In the backyard. Amazing front yard, porch, neighbors is nice. Like, this is a house where, 2-car garage, loft upstairs, half bath. We living, loving it. Too much house, not enough furniture. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had empty rooms and all types of stuff going on. And so we're living in a house we've never dreamed that we would live in. And we're not paying rent because the job I went there for isn't paying. But I'm still listening because I heard God say, finish it to completion, do it in excellence. So now we're a whole 9 months in at this time. The season starts. Everybody's supposed to get paid. We get paid one time, and then we don't get paid again. And I'm still listening. Hey, do it to completion, do it in excellence. And I'm building it all out and still continue to do it, still showing up, being in the midst of the fire. The person who started it, the team wasn't around anymore. They weren't answering. They weren't being communicative. They wasn't answering the phone. They were doing all these things. I'm still standing in the midst of the fire saying, yo, y'all going to get paid. Y'all going to get paid. Y'all going to get paid. Not knowing when we would actually get paid. The season ended. Nobody got paid. Still to this day. And I took backlash from a space that I never was supposed to take backlash in. But because I wanted to run into a storm, I had to finish it because I chose to stand in it. So I had to finish, even though I was taking the darts, even though I had mental breakdowns, even though I was in a functional depression, I still had to finish. I still had to put a smile on my face and continue through because I chose to go despite wise counsel saying, no, I don't think that aligns to your purpose. But we still went. But I will say that there were some benefits that came from it. Like my wife and I, we got closer. In that time, it was just us. We would stay and sit at a table. Actually, our kitchen table looked very similar to this one. But we would sit down at the table. We play Uno together, Phase 10 together. We would take shots in the backyard together on the basketball court, of course. But there were moments where we were able to cleave to one another and be in oneness. And for the first time in my marriage, that was what was afforded to us because when we first got married, we got an apartment in Collindale, got full-time jobs. We just work, and never had an opportunity to really learn each other's likes and dislikes, and what makes her happy that I do, and what makes her happy, or vice versa, and really getting to the why of our marriage. Like, why did we get married? A lot of people get married just to say that they got married, but that doesn't keep them together. And I ain't knocking nobody. That's how life happens and life travels. But for us, it's understanding why we got married and being able to push past all of the obstacles that happen. I tell her all the time, I don't know if I would have been able to do this life with somebody else, going through all of the circumstances that I've been through with other people who I've laid with in the past, dated in the past, and all those things. So I just think that it's important that we keep our whys, and again, they're going to change every season changes. You know what I'm saying? There's 4 seasons. If we look at it from a worldly perspective, there's 4 seasons in this earth, and your why can change in all of those seasons multiple times. But don't beat yourself up when your why changes. You know what I'm saying? Like, continue to change it to make it fit, to allow you to keep moving forward,
making it through.
Yeah, making it through. I gotta remember to use the title of the podcast sometimes.
UBBS.
Yeah, I mean,
I get it though. I understand. I think I understand now more. I understand more now. Right? Before, I wasn't totally aware of my power. Right? And now I see it, because it's not. When you're powerful when your actions are repeated. You know what I mean? Like, and I know what I do and why I do what I do. You know what I mean? I'm not doing it for nobody else, but this is what I've always wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like, so now that I'm in a space to do it, and I can do it legally, I do it, right? Whatever it is that I do, everything that comes from me is for the good of us, for the betterment of my community, for the betterment of the children in our community. But I guess because there is that corner where I don't allow people in, right? That people will then use that as that's the 100% of me when it's only like 0.5%. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I understand who I am now, right? And I can stand on that without no problem.
Okay.
100%.
So you're good, I'm good, but what about somebody who's listening?
Who isn't good?
Who ain't good, who ain't got nothing left in the tank. What would you tell them to keep going? To take one more step?
Every day you will have challenges. Every day something will happen that will shift you, right? Will have you paying more attention to that one particular thing instead of paying attention to everything that is around you. Don't fall for it, right? Leaves fall from a tree for a reason, right? They're not supposed to stay on the tree throughout the whole year, but they come back, right? So sometimes we lose things and we get so upset that we're losing something that we don't pay attention to what we still have. See, loss comes sometimes at the worst time, and sometimes it can come when you need it, when you need a reprieve, when you need space. God don't make no mistakes, right? And once you really understand how important it is to believe that, how important it is to speak that, you don't really worry about what you lose, right? Now, for the people that are trying to make it through the storm, hold on tight to your umbrella. Plant your feet. Put your position up against a wall if you got one, right? Because it gets hard. It gets hard, it gets scary, it gets dark, it gets gloomy, it gets frustrating, it gets all of those things sometimes, and sometimes right before the sun comes out. Right? The storm gets the worst. The wind blows the hardest. Right? It gets super dark. But that's right before the sun comes out. So you can't allow it to change your personality. You can't allow it to move you. You have to keep on keeping on. So hold on tight to your umbrella. Right? Because the sun is coming. Right? And it's going to change everything. And when the sun comes, everything changes. The birds are whistling and flying by. The leaves are sprouting out the trees. The roses are growing. And you realize that the storm that you went through was what you needed. The water that you accumulated, the pain that other things had to feel. Because everything has to die to grow. Like nothing grows without something dying. Mm-hmm. You feel me? Like, so once you realize that, you're like, damn, my friendships, not out of animosity, friendships have to die so you can grow, right? Relationships, some relationships have to die so you can grow, right? If we keep pulling people with us that are not trying to stay with us,
that's a fact.
We're pulling the wrong thing, right? So, I am extremely, extremely proud of you, number one, for continuing the fight, for not giving up. You feel me? Throughout every fucking hardship that has been thrown your way, you continue to fight. You continue to get up. That's why I called you 2 years ago. That's why I hit you up and asked you to come to the radio station, because I know you know what it's like not to win. I know you know what it's like not to give up. I know you know what it's like to sacrifice for all the right reasons and still be looked at like you ain't shit. Right? And that's just what happens when you sacrifice for others. You give yourself to their cause. And if they don't win, if they win or if they don't win, they turn around and look at you like you were the bad guy. And I get it, right? That's cool. But no, I need more people that have dealt with life, right? Have lost in life, right? But don't have that loser mentality. You talk to people, the way you talk to people, the way you hold yourself in a room. I need you on my team. I need you with me. You feel me? Like, once you figure it out, like, I put it out there. Once you figure it out, you figure it out. But come on, let's go. Like, that's work. I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing because you're here. Maybe you watching what I'm doing. Maybe you're not. Maybe you trying to figure your stuff out. I get it, bro. Like, it's hard. Life ain't easy. And if anybody think life don't life, you crazy.
Big crazy.
You could. The only person life is not lifing for is the person in Illinois right now that just hit the Powerball.
$1.04 billion.
No, $433 million because they take
the
cash.
Yeah.
You feel me? Why they take so much money? But I'm not talking about that. But that person right now is sitting there happy, like trying not to say anything, right? If it's not a group of people, what you gonna do with that money? How you gonna help your community with that money?
Right.
It's too many millionaires out here and you ain't helping. Mm-hmm. You just buying new houses and that shit don't mean nothing.
Right.
At the end of the day, when you die, that house don't mean nothing. You did it. What are you doing to make sure you're good? What are you doing to make sure your legacy speaks for you after you're gone? People are still going to use your name when you pass. Right? So
that's a fact.
That's what I would tell somebody right now that is sitting and thinking this is the worst possible day. And I also tell them that, guess what? It can get worse.
Quickly. Quickly.
But if you pray and you ask for God to remove the things that are getting in your way, you ask for God to light your path, and you won't question. You won't question. Because that's that. If you read the Bible, if you go back, you read the Quran, and most of it, you'll see that people question and ask God, I need proof. Like even Jesus did. Why is this happening? Right? And it's just happening. Right? So Be real. Go through it. There's light at the other end of the tunnel. Yeah, that's what I would tell him.
And you too can make it through.
Yes, sir.
I just used the title, yo.
Yes, you do. I'm proud of you.
You know what I'm saying? I just used the title. I wish we had some clapping in here or something. But no, on a serious note, but on a serious note, to end it out, just take this question with you. Let it linger with you throughout the week. When life gives you every reason to stop, what is the reason why you're going to keep going? Take that with you this week. Ponder on it. Sit on it. And remember, once you answer it, ask yourself why. And then when you answer that bad boy, ask yourself why.
Again.
Until you get down to the most refined answer that you can get to, where you can't even ask yourself why again. And that's how you'll find your why, man. I appreciate y'all tuning in, tapping in. Again, like, share, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, like, share, comment. If you're on Facebook. And if this blessed you, share it with a friend, family member. Because it's important to find our why. Until next week, peace.